Welcome to a journey through the fascinating world of psychological theories. Today, we'll explore some of the most intriguing ideas that have shaped our understanding of human behavior and the mind. From classic concepts to modern discoveries, psychology offers endless insights into why we think, feel, and act the way we do. Whether you're a curious learner or a psychology enthusiast, get ready to uncover the mysteries behind our thoughts and action. Let's dive in and see how these theories can change the way we view ourselves and others. One of the most influential psychological theories is cognitive dissonance, introduced by Leon Festinger. This theory suggests that we experience discomfort when our beliefs and actions don't align. For example, if you believe in healthy living but eat junk food, you might feel uneasy. To reduce this discomfort, we often change our beliefs or justify our actions. Cognitive dissonance explains why people sometimes stick to their decisions, even when evidence suggests otherwise. It's a powerful force that shapes our attitudes and behaviors every day. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a classic theory in psychology. It proposes that human motivation is driven by a series of needs, starting with basic physiological requirements like food and shelter. Once these are met, we seek safety, love and belonging, esteem, and finally, self-actualization. This pyramid-shaped model helps explain why we prioritize certain goals at different stages of life. Maslow's theory remains a cornerstone in understanding human motivation and personal growth. Have you ever wondered why people sometimes fail to help in emergencies when others are around? The Bystander Effect explains this phenomenon. It suggests that the presence of others reduces the likelihood that anyone will intervene. People assume someone else will take action, leading to a diffusion of responsibility. This theory has been supported by numerous experiments and highlights the importance of individual responsibility in group situations. Confirmation bias is a common psychological tendency where we favor information that confirms our existing beliefs. This bias affects how we interpret news, make decisions, and even remember events. It can lead to distorted thinking and reinforce stereotypes. Understanding confirmation bias helps us become more open-minded and critical thinkers, encouraging us to seek out diverse perspectives and challenge our assumptions. Classical conditioning, discovered by Ivan Pavlov, is a foundational theory in behavioral psychology. It explains how we learn through association. Pavlov's famous experiment with dogs showed that a neutral stimulus like a bell could trigger a response such as salivation when paired with food. This process helps explain how habits form and why certain triggers evoke emotional reactions. Classical conditioning is widely used in therapy and education today. Building on classical conditioning, B.F. Skinner introduced operant conditioning. This theory focuses on how behaviors are shaped by rewards and punishments. Positive reinforcement encourages repeated behavior, while negative consequences discourage it. Operant conditioning is used in everything from animal training to classroom management. It highlights the importance of consequences in shaping our actions and habits. Placebo effect is a fascinating psychological phenomenon where people experience real improvements in health after receiving a treatment with no active ingredients. This effect demonstrates the power of belief and expectation in influencing our physical and mental well-being. The placebo effect is widely studied in medicine and psychology, revealing just how interconnected our minds and bodies truly are. Albert Bandura's social learning theory emphasizes the role of observation and imitation in learning. According to this theory, we learn new behaviors by watching others, especially role models. This process is called modeling. Social learning theory explains how cultural norms and social behaviors are passed down and why media can influence our actions. It's a key concept in understanding development and socialization. Halo effect is a cognitive bias where our overall impression of a person influences how we feel and think about their character. For example, if someone is attractive or friendly, we might assume they are also intelligent or trustworthy. This bias affects our judgments in everyday life, from job interviews to friendships. Recognizing the halo effect can help us make more objective decisions. Attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby, explores how early relationships with caregivers shape our emotional development. Secure attachments in childhood lead to healthier relationships in adulthood, while insecure attachments can result in challenges with trust and intimacy. This theory highlights the importance of emotional bonds and has influenced parenting, therapy, and education worldwide. Spotlight effect is the tendency to overestimate how much others notice our actions or appearance. We often feel like we're in the spotlight, but in reality, people are usually focused on themselves. This theory can help reduce social anxiety and remind us that most people aren't paying as much attention as we think. Fundamental attribution error is a common bias where we attribute others' actions to their character rather than external factors. For example, if someone is late, we might assume they're careless, ignoring possible reasons like traffic. This theory reminds us to consider context before judging others, promoting empathy and understanding. Pygmalion Effect, also known as the Rosenthal Effect, describes how higher expectations can lead to improved performance. When teachers or leaders believe in someone's potential, that person is more likely to succeed. This self-fulfilling prophecy shows the power of belief and encouragement in shaping outcomes, whether in school, work, or personal life. Learned helplessness is a theory developed by Martin Seligman. It describes how repeated exposure to uncontrollable negative events can lead people to feel powerless, even when they have the ability to change their situation. This concept is important in understanding depression and motivation, and it highlights the need for support and empowerment. False consensus effect is the tendency to overestimate how much others share our beliefs and behaviors. We assume our opinions are more common than they really are, which can lead to misunderstandings and conflict. Recognizing this bias helps us appreciate diversity and communicate more effectively with others. The mere exposure effect is a psychological phenomenon where repeated exposure to something increases our liking for it. Whether it's a song, a person, or a brand, familiarity breeds preference. This theory is widely used in advertising and explains why we often prefer things we see or hear often. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias where people with low ability overestimate their competence while experts may underestimate theirs. This effect highlights the importance of self-awareness and continuous learning. It reminds us to stay humble and open to feedback, no matter our level of expertise. Scarcity Principle suggests that people place higher value on things that are rare or in limited supply. This psychological tendency drives demand for exclusive products and opportunities. Marketers often use scarcity to create urgency, but understanding this principle can help us make more rational decisions. The anchoring effect is a cognitive bias where we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we receive when making decisions. For example, the initial price of a product can influence how much we're willing to pay. This effect impacts negotiations, shopping, and even everyday choices. Self-fulfilling prophecy occurs when our expectations about a person or situation cause us to act in ways that make those expectations come true. This theory demonstrates the power of belief and perception in shaping reality. It's a reminder to set positive expectations for ourselves and others. The Chameleon Effect describes our unconscious tendency to mimic the behaviors, gestures, and expressions of those around us. This automatic imitation helps build rapport and social bonds. The Chameleon Effect is a subtle but powerful force in communication and relationships. The Spotlight Effect is the tendency to believe that others are paying more attention to us than they actually are. This can make us feel self-conscious, especially in social situations. Realizing that most people are focused on themselves can help ease anxiety and boost confidence. The just world hypothesis is the belief that people get what they deserve. This theory can lead to victim blaming and a lack of empathy for those facing hardship. Understanding this bias encourages us to be more compassionate and recognize the role of chance and circumstance in life. Sunk cost fallacy is the tendency to continue investing in something because of the resources already spent, even when it's no longer beneficial. This bias can lead to poor decisions in business, relationships, and daily life. Recognizing the sunk cost fallacy helps us make more rational choices and let go when necessary. The Zeigarnik Effect is the tendency to remember unfinished tasks better than completed ones. This phenomenon explains why to-do lists and reminders are so effective. It also highlights the importance of closure and completion in managing stress and productivity. The Pratfall Effect suggests that people become more likable when they make small mistakes as it makes them appear more human and relatable. This theory shows that perfection isn't always attractive, and vulnerability can strengthen connections with others. The Endowment Effect is a bias where people value things they own more highly than things they don't. This can influence buying, selling, and even sentimental attachment to possessions. Understanding the Endowment Effect can help us make more objective decisions about what we truly need. The Barnum Effect explains why people believe vague general statements about themselves, such as horoscopes or personality tests. These statements seem personal but could apply to anyone. Recognizing the Barnum Effect helps us become more skeptical of generalized claims. The availability heuristic is a mental shortcut where we judge the likelihood of events based on how easily examples come to mind. This can lead to overestimating rare but memorable events like plane crashes and underestimating common risks. Being aware of this heuristic helps us make more balanced decisions. Framing effect is the way information is presented can influence our decisions and judgments. For example, people react differently to a treatment described as having a 90% success rate versus a 10% failure rate. Understanding the framing effect helps us recognize how language shapes our choices. The spotlight effect is a recurring theme in psychology, emphasizing our tendency to overestimate how much others notice us. This can lead to unnecessary self-consciousness and anxiety. By understanding this effect, we can focus more on our own experiences and less on others' perceptions. Actor-observer bias is the tendency to attribute our own actions to external factors while attributing others' actions to their character. For example, if we fail a test, we blame the difficulty, but if someone else fails, we might blame their effort. This bias affects how we interpret behavior and can impact relationships. The gambler's fallacy is the mistaken belief that past random events affect future outcomes. For example, after flipping several heads in a row, we might think tails is due next, even though each flip is independent. This fallacy can lead to poor decisions in gambling and everyday life. Once again, the spotlight effect reminds us that we are not the center of everyone's attention. This realization can be liberating, helping us to act more freely and authentically in social situations. Embracing this concept can lead to greater self-confidence and comfort in our interactions. The false memory effect is the phenomenon where people remember events differently from how they happened or even recall events that never occurred. This theory highlights the malleability of memory and the importance of questioning our recollections, especially in legal and personal contexts. The Ostrich Effect is the tendency to avoid negative information by burying our heads in the sand. People might ignore financial problems or health warnings to reduce anxiety. While this can offer short-term relief, it often leads to bigger issues in the long run. Facing challenges head-on is usually the healthier choice. The spotlight effect continues to be relevant in many areas of life. Whether at work, school, or social gatherings, remembering that others are less focused on us than we think can help reduce pressure and improve our well-being. It's a simple but powerful insight from psychology. The planning fallacy is the tendency to underestimate how long tasks will take, even when we have experience with similar projects. This bias can lead to missed deadlines and frustration. Being aware of the planning fallacy helps us set more realistic goals and manage our time better. The curse of knowledge is a cognitive bias where experts find it hard to imagine what it's like not to know something. This can make communication difficult, as experts may assume others have the same background knowledge. Recognizing this bias helps us explain things more clearly and connect with others. As we near the end of our exploration, the spotlight effect serves as a reminder to focus less on others' opinions and more on our own growth. This perspective can help us pursue our goals with greater confidence and less fear of judgment. The IKEA effect is the tendency to value things more highly when we have put effort into creating them. Whether it's assembling furniture or working on a project, our investment of time and energy increases our attachment. This effect highlights the importance of effort and ownership in motivation. The frequency illusion, or Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, occurs when something you've just learned about suddenly seems to appear everywhere. This is due to increased awareness, not actual frequency. The frequency illusion shows how our perceptions can be shaped by recent experiences. The butterfly effect is the idea that small actions can have large, unpredictable consequences. In psychology, this concept reminds us that minor changes in behavior or environment can lead to significant outcomes. It's a powerful metaphor for understanding the complexity of human life. We've explored a wide range of psychological theories, each offering unique insights into the human mind and behavior. From cognitive biases to motivational principles, these concepts help us understand ourselves and others better. By applying these theories in daily life, we can improve our relationships, decision-making, and personal growth. Remember, psychology is a journey of discovery, and there's always more to learn. Thank you for joining this exploration into the mysteries of the mind.